Okay. There is a guy. I'm um, a CASA, and so they're my facilitator, like my trainer. He will message me and ask me if the meetings are on recording on YouTube. So I didn't know anyone else that watches them, but yeah, so he asked me every single week, like, hey, when is your monthly meeting going to be uploaded on YouTube? And I'm like, I'm not sure. So is that, I know
I
you're busy, Jonathan.
I have started. I have made it a point to start putting the meetings on the Reentry Council YouTube page this year. So I usually, uh, like, we get done with the meeting today, about an hour or two, it'll say meeting assets are ready to go. So I'll go to the actual recording and download it, and I'll upload the MP4 file to the council. So it's usually up there right away now.
That's so awesome. Well, I will let him know. I think it would be awesome for him to attend just on the youth side of things. That'd be great and see how we can kind of partner in that way. Okay, so we kind of have a jam-packed meeting. We don't have a lot of time to waste. So I'll just give it 2 more minutes and we'll start at 10. If anyone that hasn't been attending can sign in, that'd be awesome. We just want to have your contact information. I put two links in the chat. The first one is where you can sign up for the Reentry Council. It will send you a reminder email. How often is that, Jonathan? Like, I think I got one like last week and then yesterday. Is that right? And then
Yeah,
today.
I give one, like, usually like a day or two before the actual meeting, and then I have one sent out like maybe 45 minutes before the meeting,
Okay.
just to kind of give a heads up notice in case you get busy and forget about it.
Okay.
And
Ayla,
that's
did you have a question?
Yeah, drop those links again because anyone who logs in after you put them in doesn't show in the chat.
Oh, thank you so much for
Yep.
pointing that out. Sorry about that, but I appreciate you. What is happening? You guys, something is,
what's wrong,
I'm
Chelsea?
all over the place. Okay. All right, that should be good to go. And I'll just periodically. So yeah, the first link is where to sign up for the reentry council meetings and get those reminders. The second one is for our partners. So if you have attended um, the reentry councils in the past, I have sent you this link. It's a Google Doc, and you just put your information in there. You can share that to anyone else. Maybe you're in a conversation, you're like, oh, hey, I forgot this guy that was talking, or a comment had come up, or some sort of resource. Those are there for you to use. So please put your information in there so we can keep in contact with you.
Also, Chelsea, can I add one more thing to that real quick?
Yes, please.
So if you want to sign up for, like, other councils that we have
Mhm.
throughout the state, you can send me an email telling me what councils or what counties you would like to be involved in, and I'll put your email on the constant contact for that area.
And Jonathan, your email is in here, right? Or
I
no?
just now put it in.
Okay, thank you. All right. We got a couple people rolling in. I appreciate you all for being here. This is so important to me And I'm grateful that you share the same viewpoints, and that reentry is vital to folks that are returning, and they need the support. And I'm grateful that there are a group of people that are partnering in that support. So first and foremost, I just wanted to congratulate Jonathan on his hard work recently. He has been, tell us a little bit about your trip to the Capitol. How did that go?
That went
Sorry
good.
to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. So as the legislation opens up, I'm a part of REACH. That's who I work for. But on advocacy side, I do second chance sentencing. I've been to the FAM conference for the last two FAM conferences they had on second chance sentencing initiative. And so a couple of weeks ago on the 12th, the Criminal Law Reform Coalition had a press conference, and where we're trying to get an initiative into the second chance sentencing past the legislature. We held a press conference that day, and I was one of the speakers that spoke there, and basically talking about why I feel second chance sentencing is needed, and a little bit about my past. For those who don't know me, I know there's a lot of people here that's on here a lot. Uh, I spent 23 years in prison in Guam, and I've been out. August will make 10 years since I've been out. I haven't been back to jail or at all. I've had a speeding ticket. I will say that much. I kind of go fast sometimes, but I've never been involved with the justice system again. And I'm just trying to give back where I can.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Um, that's great. Okay, I want to introduce our guest speaker today. This is Robert Thorpe,
How you guys
someone
doing?
special to my heart. I'm just going to give a quick announcement or introduction. So, Rob's from Virginia. He graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree in information technology with a concentration in IT networking and security. As a result of his incarceration, came his organization that he's a co-founder of called IDEA. And so while he was inside, he was preparing for the work that he was going to do outside. And so I just want to read you a quick little piece of his bio that he sent me that I found really great. And I think this is something that we can really say to the general public that maybe just doesn't know about reentry or doesn't find value in it. All success starts with an idea, but an idea without action is merely a dream. So I ask you, do you want to be better? Who wants to be better? Who wants to think better? Who wants to live better? We can all be a part of this positive movement, but only one question remains. What is your idea? So excellent. Rob, thank you so much for being with us. If
Thank you
you'll
for
tell us
having
a
me.
little bit about you, and I know I said a little bit about your background, but if you'll give us a little information about you and how things are going, what's life like for you?
Okay, first of all, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Like Chelsea said, my name is Robert Thorpe. I recently got released from incarceration. I was sentenced to 10 years. I ended up doing 6. I got released the day after Christmas of 2025. Since I've been out, it has been some struggles, but at the same time, blessings. Um, every day, I just try not to take for granted anymore. And Jonathan, congratulations on your anniversary as well of getting out. Um, that's that's a that's a good amount of time, brother, and it's good to see you on the other side. Um, since I've been out though, I've just been trying to stay positive. I went to the General Assembly with Miss Garcia a couple weeks ago, and we had a good old time. We met a lot of good people, made a lot of contacts, got a lot of information. Somehow I ended up in a news interview. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. But Yeah, other than that, man, I'm just trying to move forward with my life and just like Jonathan said, bring something positive to society now. Not, I'm all about optimism now. I used to be a real pessimist and always negative thinking, negative thoughts. And if you put that negative energy out there, that's what you're gonna get. So it's time to go the other way and put nothing but positive energy out there. And we also found out it's a lot of legislation that is being put on the table that possibly can help a lot of people. And
Can you talk about that a little bit? I think
yeah,
sometimes just and we've talked about this, like I don't know a lot on the legislative side and I wish I knew more. So having folks talk about that and how that's real to you and your experience would be great.
okay. Well, the legislation that I'm currently following is I believe it's House Bill 351, which is the earned sentence credit for the jails that would run retroactive. And the reason that I find this substantial is because every person that is incarcerated, this would affect them. They would get at least 1 day off of their sentence. And if anybody has been in, you know, higher level security prison like I've been in, or even a lower security level, 1 day, 1 hour can change the trajectory of the rest of your life. It really can, because you never know what's gonna happen, what mood the next man is in that day, this, that, and the third. And I've noticed this bill has actually passed before, but the language got changed in Virginia. Our attorney general changed the language so it wouldn't be retroactive. And for me personally, if this bill would have been implemented when it was supposed to and how it was supposed to, I would have came home a whole year before what I actually did. And like I was doing the comparison, you compare a year, your life can change in an hour in prison. So it's a big thing. And this is one of the ones that I'm really behind. I'm also really behind this second chance situation, the second chance bill. And I myself, I do need to do a little bit more digging and, find out because they always like to put little stuff in there that nobody really knows about. And they've been trying to really hide it from what we've been told or whatever, because it was only put up, excuse me, it was only put up, I think, a week before the General Assembly. Every other bill everybody had access to except this one bill. So I think the consensus is they're scared to put all the information out there because of the opposition and the waves that it's going to make. But in actuality, it's a lot of people that deserve a second chance. It is, especially if you've shown that through your years in prison.
Right. Do
You
you
can,
think that, like, Rob, you're in Virginia and this is all across the United States. This isn't just Virginia, West Virginia, but bills like these can be found everywhere. We're all fighting kind of the same battle. We work with a lot of folks that are from other states within the United States, and they're struggling with the same thing as well. So I think it's important that no, it may not be centered to West Virginia, which is where a lot of our folks are, but it talks a lot to what you can do and what power you have, what say you have, when we can really understand what people are talking about at the Capitol and in those offices. I think that's
right.
awesome. What can you tell us a little bit about any significant experiences you had while you were incarcerated, good, bad, any achievements that you had, funny moments, low moments? I don't know, anything that stuck out to you.
All the above. I would say my highest point was when I got the job as a peer mentor in workforce center aid up in programs, which the programs area is an area where educational programs happen. One facility, there's actually a Southside Community College that they take courses in, stuff like that. We tailor people's resumes for when they get out and stuff like that, so they have an idea of how to we give them a template for the resume and then we let them type it up themselves because a lot of these guys have been down 10, 20 years and they're not really computer savvy and they're
Mhm.
just technology is just not, what it used to be when the last time they were on the street. Like me myself, I was only down 6 years, but technology is different. It's very different.
Yeah.
Like I went to the store my very first day and my significant other, she just walks off and walks up to this screen. I'm like, where are you going? The line's right here. And she proceeds to just, come on, let's go. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I don't know. You know what I mean? It's changed a lot.
Was that the kiosk?
It was. It was. And I
You
was
know,
just
as
like,
a result of COVID, you didn't go to the line anymore. You just did self checkout.
yeah. So I mean, I guess they make you pay for it and they make you bag it now. So
That's so funny.
yeah,
Okay, what's a funny moment that you had while you were in?
funny moment. Okay, well, I have this friend of mine. His name is Lance, right? And he's been down over 25 years. He spent most of his life inside rather than outside. He was locked up, I believe, at 17, and he's now
Mhm.
41, 42, something like that. And every day it would just make me laugh and it would make me happy the fact that I never saw that man without a smile on his face. Never, never an inkling of negative energy. He exudes positivity. Until this day, I still talk to him. I talked to him a couple of days ago, and same old person. All he had, thank alhamdulillah, all he has is I think two or 3 years left now. But it really inspires you to just try to emulate that because I don't
Mhm.
care what situation you're in, it can always be worse. And there is somebody that's in a worse situation than you. So I think that always made me smile. It made me laugh. It gave me good energy, and it got. He was one of my coworkers up at um, the workforce, aiding the peer mentor, like I was saying. So I saw him every day, so it was always positive every day. You know what I mean? So I think that got me through a lot of rough times, and just like you were
Because
saying,
can you talk about how you were on lockdown a lot? It wasn't
yeah,
like there wasn't, a free time that you should have had out typically, but you were on lockdown for
yeah,
days and what that looked
yeah.
like.
When when I got transferred to Sussex One State Prison, um, it was a culture shock to say the least. Just already dealing with what you've been dealing with, and then getting transferred to almost one of the highest level security prisons in Virginia, give or take one or two.
And that
And
was not because there was anything that
there
you
was
did wrong.
there was no discipline. This was no
You
disciplinary
that was
action.
supposed to be a
Nothing.
reentry.
This was supposed to be my reentry cycle, and this is where they transfer me, a level 5 state prison. And I get there, and it's a couple guys on the bus that I know because we're all leaving from the same compound, and we've been there for years. So we get there, and we're immediately on lockdown. Immediately, like, nah, you don't have, no, you can't clean the cell. Go in the cell, shut up, uncuff, and then they just close the door. And mind you, the only time we saw anybody, because at Sussex they have these grates on the door, but they can also shut it. So when I say no sunlight, no nothing, just steel and concrete. Mind you, I've done nothing wrong. Done nothing wrong at all. No disciplinary action. 3 years charge free, infraction free, minor or major. It it was a culture shock to say the least. And this is common practice at places like this because none of this information gets out. And if it does happen to get out, a lot of people tend to think that we're exaggerating or we're not telling the whole truth, or we did something wrong and we deserve to be in this particular situation. No, not at all. Not at all. But the stigma has been placed that any person, the very first couple of people that I talked to after I got to Sussex, the very first thing they asked me is, "What'd you do?" What? I didn't do anything. Like my, you know what I mean? So it's
I
just
think
little.
sometimes I want to paint the picture of the headspace you have to be in to be able to live in these conditions. Because, like I said, just because you're in Virginia doesn't mean that we don't experience the same thing here in West Virginia in our facilities. And so
Absolutely.
with our community partners, the reason why this is important to be able to create the mindset of someone that has been locked in a room for days, without sunlight, without talking to anyone else besides maybe the person that you're in there with, mentally, that can really do some damage. And to be able to come out and be expected to be just a normal law abiding citizen when you have all this, we'll just say trauma, um, it it's unachievable, to be honest. And but it is something that, like, with our community partners, if we can understand the mindset of what someone may be going through, um, then we can understand in our position with community, as community leaders and as community partners, how we can assist. Or maybe if you're coming off a certain way, like, let's not take that as disrespectful. It might just be like you need some time to decompress. um,
Right.
so Danica, just so you can understand in the comments, Danica is with the West Virginia Department of Corrections. She's over the housing unit. So she was just saying Virginia is a commonwealth and a lot of their laws and guidelines are very different. I would completely agree. However, I think the jail prison experience can be the same no matter where you go. It's
Right.
always that mindset that there are things that happen behind closed doors that a lot of people really don't know about. And so you see them on TV, and it looks like it's awful, but this is real. This is real.
Exactly.
And so in my place, I just want to be able to paint the picture so that your community leader, your community partner can understand where you're coming from. So, as a returning citizen, on that note, Lori, just so you know, is with the Department of Rehabilitation Services. She helps folks with barriers find employment. Really great gal if you ever have a chance to work with her. So, she was asking, what is the most challenging process when you came out of prison? DMV, getting a social security card, birth certificate, transportation. I would love for you to talk about the ID situation.
Oh man. Well, the ID situation. Well, the birth certificate didn't really go off without a hitch. There was really no problem with that or social security card. But this ID, they don't start this process of you getting your identification until about a month before you're scheduled to be released. Now, the problem with this is so many glitches or problems can happen between the process of you taking a picture, them getting the picture, them transferring it to DMV printing it out. Me, myself, personally, I had a problem with they said that the picture wasn't clear enough. So then nobody wanted to tell me this. All they said was, oh, that what was she called? The business records lady at the facility I was at. I got my significant other to call. And she literally told her, well, he just gonna leave without one. He's just gonna leave without an ID. You're gonna make somebody leave a facility, go out back into society with no identification, especially in today's climate. If you run across the wrong law enforcement agency with no identification, that's grounds for a lot of stuff to happen. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
And I appreciate you painting that picture because it, again, just like we talked about before, it's not necessarily what you did or didn't do. It was just as a result of timing and processing and not
right,
clear communication. That happens
right,
all the time. But the importance of getting an ID and your birth certificate and your social security card is you can't get a job. If
yeah,
you can't get a job, you can't provide. If you can't provide, your family has been holding you financially for the last however long, and you're expected at this point to contribute financially, and
exactly,
you're unable to do that. And so, not only does that cause a strain on your support system and your family dynamic, that causes a strain on your own person of just being able to provide and being, a man in your house, right? This is, again, this happened in Virginia, but as the reentry council chair, I get calls all the time, and this is something that I have personally been involved in, of them not having an ID when they get out. So this is not just a Virginia thing. This happens all the time, everywhere. You could call anybody and ask them in any state what their has had they had any experience with that, and they would tell you absolutely. So laws and bills like that would be wonderful for us to advocate. So, um,
now
Aaliyah, go ahead.
Chelsea, I would say too, when you were talking about trauma earlier, the fact that, yeah, Virginia is a Commonwealth state, but like West Virginia is a lot more rural than Virginia. And honestly, I would think that when you're in a prison in a rural area, it's more isolated. So
Mm-hmm.
in my experience, a lot more, you know, bad things happen in rural areas.
Yeah.
Just to throw I've never been incarcerated in West Virginia, but I've been to West Virginia. So I know it's a rural area. The area I was in was Beckley, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? But I know that there are some real isolated areas in West Virginia that I'm sure people are incarcerated in. So yeah, I would, I'm let's get together and let me know like some of the differences in like the laws that y'all have out there. Cause I know Commonwealth states are a lot different, but at
Yeah.
the same time, if they get you in those rural areas, they kind of just do what they want to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's
And
it's it's
that has been
sad.
the experience for folks that have that I've spoken to, is
Wow.
that's a lot of the same narrative. So Aaliyah, she had asked about how your partner advocated for you, and I can just say on this side, being very close to her in this process, it was phone call after phone call after phone call. It was, highlighting bills. It was checking the processes. Like, she really got involved in what the law says and how to go about that. She was communicating constantly. They hated her calling.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
call sometimes, like, just to bug, and the warden didn't like like just staff involved was not happy about the amount of times that we would call. But that's what you do when your loved one is incarcerated. So I want to move on, because I think for the purpose of this meeting, um, when I had talked about your intro, I had talked about that you are extremely intelligent. You have a degree. You didn't go in as maybe some folks that maybe don't have that educational piece, and so this clears the stigma of, like, only people that are incarcerated, like, they're not smart or whatever.
Right.
You came in educated, and you were able to use your education while you were incarcerated, which I think is great. But I think one of your greatest achievements is creating your organization on the inside so that you're able to orchestrate your work here on the outside. So I would love for you to take a couple minutes and talk about IDEA, what that means to you, how that started, and then what you're doing with it now.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to Megan Ford and Chelsea Garcia because both of you guys helped me start this organization, and I don't want that to be lost on anyone. Um, idea started out as just that. It was just an idea, you know what I mean? And you know, action action is what makes an idea real. You know what I mean? So it was just something, I had a lot of time on my hands at the time, and I was just sitting there brainstorming, thinking about, what can I do positive out here? What can I do to contribute back? What can I give somebody advice wise, or just anything from a big brother mentality, an uncle mentality, you know, just what can I give back? And it was a thought that came to me like, you know what? You got to end this stigma. I have to, like, because like Chelsea said, I didn't grow up to have a very harsh life. I had a really good upbringing. I just made really bad decisions. You know what I mean? And like she said, like when I got incarcerated, I worked for the federal government. I didn't, you know what I mean? Didn't need to do what I was doing, didn't have to do what I was doing, but it was just bad choices. So now I'm trying to make a point to the younger generation that you don't have to make bad choices. Everything in life is about a choice. And most of us know right from wrong, whether you want to admit it or not. You know if you're doing something right, you know if you're doing something wrong. But if I can just if I can reach out and save one person, then I did all right. Because, my situation, everybody's situation is different, but I sincerely regret what happened in my particular situation. It
And what
was
does idea mean?
IDEA stands for incarceration doesn't end achievements, meaning that just because you've been incarcerated or you've dealt with the justice system, and yeah, they say you have a letter on your chest now. That doesn't mean anything. You can do anything that you want to do. You really can. It might be a longer road for you, you know what I'm saying, than initially before you went into the system, but it's still possible. It is. And I just need people to understand that. And like it's a lot of people think it's just over with because you go in the system and you're, an inmate, an offender, whatever they like to call you. We use returning citizens. So
Which is the appropriate term.
exactly,
Or
exactly.
just people.
We drink water and we breathe air. We're mammals. You know what I mean? It's all the same. So I
So what
just,
do you think? So your audience is a lot of, like I said, community leaders and community organizations.
right.
With idea in mind, like why is reentry important for them, to use their services to help that population?
It's so vital. It's so vital. I can't emphasize that enough. And a lot of people don't have the support system like I had. You know what I'm saying? Like I had people that genuinely cared about me and tried to help me every step of the way with the ID. I mean, excuse me, with the ID, with the birth certificate, with the social security card. And it's a lot of people out there that don't have people to help. So when it comes to reentry, this process needs to become easier. This process, excuse me, this process should not happen or start happening 6 months before you leave, because a lot of things can happen that prolong what needs to happen. I really truly believe reentry needs to start with valid, good programs, and not just this little 2 or 3 minute meeting every day that does absolutely nothing. It does absolutely nothing. And it needs to be, I'm not gonna say intensive, but it needs to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? I believe that it should be over a longer period of time instead of a minuscule amount of time, but so intensive that you can't really absorb anything that they're trying to do.
Can you tell me like what you think would have been beneficial program wise, or maybe like what kind of a presence from reentry would have been useful?
The main thing I feel like reentry could have done for everybody is all they had to do was ask one question. What do you think you need? That's all that they had to ask. But, they get paid for putting people in this reentry program. So is it really for reentry reform or is it just going through the motions? Because you put people in these so-called programs or, ready to work programs or anything like that, but nothing's really being taught at all. Nothing's being taught. All you do is sign a sheet just to say you're there. And then you just have a conversation with the people that you have conversation with every day.
I
Like,
think there and of course it is for it's different for different places. I just
right.
wanted to give a shout out to the Martinsburg Initiative. Margaret is now doing her parenting, or Adrian, is that you? I'm sorry if I'm taking the spotlight from you, but there is a parenting class that is happening in ERJ because of the partnership that she's created so that folks can take that class, which is ordered by the court now. They can take that class while they're incarcerated, so they don't have to use that while they're, or they don't have to take it while they're trying to maintain a job and a family. And so there, this is why the collaboration with the community is important, and it's important to see what is missing, and then how us as community leaders can step in and fill that void. So I think that that's important, asking the question, what do you need? What in your case, or maybe not your case because you had a lot of support on the outside, but maybe someone who didn't have a lot of support, like what were some common things that they needed?
Housing.
Okay.
Housing,
Yeah.
housing, housing was the biggest obstacle for a lot of guys.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, okay. And then one last thing, one last question I have for you. What would you say to someone working with returning citizens?
I would say just be patient with us. Just be patient with us. It's an adjustment for us. It's an adjustment for you guys. And when I first got out, you know, you try to prepare the best you can. And me and my partner, we prepared for over 3 years. Over 3 years. Every day. But when you get out, it's still obstacles and it's still adjustments that need to be made. You know what I'm saying? And it's not what I'm saying is it's not over with just because you're released. It's not. The challenge still survives. The challenge is still there. But it's a good journey if you don't give up, you
Excellent.
know?
Jonathan, did you have something to add?
I just got a question for Rob.
Yeah.
What does transitional housing look like in Virginia?
Oh man, it looks like a trap, brother. Unfortunately, most of the people that need the housing are in there for some type of drug possession, distribution with intent, something of that nature. I don't
Okay,
know. I don't know
you're talking
how.
about inside the prison system, right?
Right.
Oh no,
But
I'm talking about when you come out of the prison system. Is
right,
is
right. That
is, is there any type of transitional housing for people? And I'm not talking halfway houses run by the prison. I'm just talking
yeah.
about transitional housing in general.
There is, but if you don't have a contact for it, then you're not gonna know about it. If you don't have a contact in an organization somewhere that can that can point you in the right direction of somebody that's privately renting or something like that, then the only other option you're gonna have is the halfway house that you were speaking of.
And I think that brings a good point. So West Virginia is a little bit like opposite. We have all the housing options for folks that have a background of substance use. We have zero options for anyone that is just reentry and substance use isn't a thing. So it's like we're a little bit backwards than what I'm hearing you say. Is that
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
housing is always going to be an issue. It's always a crisis if
Right.
you don't have a loved one or somewhere to go home to. But like you said, not knowing landlords or like private landlords and things like that, if you've got the connections, great, but there's no organizations really doing
No,
that.
nope.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
Uh,
Um,
Rob,
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
you talked about getting involved with second chance sentencing initiatives and stuff like that. Uh, if you have a chance, go to the Families Against Mandatory Minimum website. They have
Fam-
a they have a lot of stuff on second chance sentencing. Uh, 2023 and 2025, I went to both convenings of the uh, Second Chance Sentencing Initiative, and one was in New Orleans and one was in Minnesota. And
Okay.
there's a lot of good information about what each state is doing as far as second chance sentencing goes.
Okay. I really appreciate that.
Excellent. I think that was really great. And if you can stay on for just a couple of minutes, I want to wrap up by talking about the things that the Reentry Council is doing currently. So we are in partners and myself are in a couple different things currently. One is creating a reentry guide. Our old president, chair, Bridget Covell, she is with the Spokes program here in Berkeley County. She created or has some sort of a guide. And so lately, 211 has been sending calls to me for folks that are getting out or have been granted parole and can't find housing, or they have just gotten out of incarceration and they need to know what to do. And so I would love to create a step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and have that as a concise, like 1 page flyer, and then check in with them every couple of days to see how they're doing. If someone would be interested in partnering with me on getting that together, that would be awesome. If you want to send me an email, we could certainly talk that out. I'll put my email in the chat here.
Hey, Chelsea, I
Yes.
wanted to jump in. Jonathan, I know that Caitlin Jividen had something similar to what Chelsea's looking for.
Yeah.
Is that still in the Google Drive? I used to have access to it. I'm not sure if I still do.
I'll check. I will check if it's still there. Because well, so I'm not exactly 100% sure. I know we had a probably about 6 months ago, no, probably about 3 months ago, we had a meeting of all the Reach Initiative employees and stuff up in Charleston, and they brought out that book. And if I'm not mistaken, it's something that is being worked on. I don't know the status of it at this moment, but it is being worked on. And one of the reentry councils I remember had a thing about it as well. I'll have to
Cindy
go back.
Matthews had said that the Appalachian Prison Book Project is creating a reentry guide for the entire state. They're close to finishing.
Okay.
So maybe is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, this is the 1 pager that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
Danielle
it already
Stoneberg.
exists. I just have to find it.
Yeah, I think having a whole guide would be amazing, but sometimes that can be really overwhelming. So just having like, hey, go to DHHR and get your benefits, step 2, step 3, step 4. So just
I just
so it
if
yeah, I would
if
love to learn more about that. And
if I can, I was with the Appalachian Prison Book Project. They asked me as kind of like I don't know a subject matter expert when it comes to reentry guides, and asked me for feedback with it. And while their reentry guide is going to be comprehensive and fairly exhaustive. The purpose of it isn't just to say, hey, go to DHHR. It's going to have screenshots of websites and how it looks on mobile view or desktop and what you need to click to go to certain things, because it's not just enough to call DHHR or call the DMV. There's to get to certain menu items or to get to certain things or talk to the right people, you need to know what numbers to press, or what's the best times to call, or what's the real phone numbers to get a hold of people. And these are all the things that they're going to have in that reentry guide. They're also going to have stories of people that have gone through the reentry process, and little kind of like messages in there as well. So it's going to be like step by step what to do. Like if you get disability benefits, yeah, you got to contact DHHR or contact the Social Security office, but here's who you talk to. Here's the paperwork that you need. Here's the phone number to call. You press this menu button to get to here, kind of thing. So people aren't left with guesswork, because that's one of the things that I know from experience is like, yeah, they tell you like, hey, take this paper and go to the Social Security office. But they don't tell you all the other documentation you need. They don't tell you who to talk to, because certain workers there deal with certain issues. They don't tell you, if you have to call a number, what menu item to press. And one of the first things you always hear when you call an automated system is, our menu items may have changed. And then it all of a sudden gives you a whole list of departments and people that you think you need to talk to, and you may, for your issue, it may not be necessarily exactly who you need to talk to. So I know they're working on that, and I believe they're close to finished with that. And their hope, well, their plan is not hope, they've already kind of gotten approval for it, but their plan is to have it accessible on all the tablets in all the facilities. So guys
Wow.
will have and women will have access to this while they're still incarcerated, prior to their release, so they can gather information. Or they can have their loved ones, hey, I need you to do this for me before I get out, so I could go here and do this or do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Kenny. And this is why I love just feedback, because it's great to know like, hey, these are things that you're not you have to go all the way. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you. If you hear more about that, please keep us in the loop, or if you send the information to Jonathan, he can always send that out to everybody that's on the list. Um, and can you tell us when your next meeting is for the for your coalition?
Hoping to have it this coming Thursday. I've been kind of sick with the flu over this
Oh,
past weekend and stuff, and I'm still not 100%. I'm actually laying in bed underneath the covers while I'm on this call. So if I'm feeling better tomorrow, still have a slight fever. If I'm feeling better by tomorrow, I'll send out an email to everybody, and Jonathan and the Reach Initiative included, to have our meeting Thursday at 12. And there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening in the legislature right now. They have what they're labeling as, I believe, Tom's Law, where it's going to increase the penalty for first degree murder to 25 to life, before you're parole eligible. Attempted first degree, a 10 to 40. Second degree, will be a 20 to 60, I believe. And voluntary manslaughter would go to a 5 to 20. And they are doing this because Kanawha County Commissioner Ben Salongo's wife, her brother was murdered in 97, I believe. And they had a press conference prior to legislation session starting in October, November, that it is a traumatic experience for victims' families to have to go to a parole hearing every year, every couple years for these type of offenses. And so it's really this bill, and there's one on the Senate side that's over in the House now, and the House is actually the first reading of a couple of these bills is today at the legislature. One is House Bill 4761, and the other one's 4758. 4758 is the one that passed out of committee and is on first reading on the floor. And is really anti-second look policies and bills, and it's they're they're having one narrative with it, is that having a 15-year life sentence is not enough, and but they're not looking at the cost. One, adding it to 25 to life is $500,000 per person. Increasing the second degree is going to be $250,000 per person. And also they're having one family being like the voice of all victims' families. And so I have a couple people that go to my church who are the family members of victims of violent crimes. And they're like, that's not what we want. That's not what we think. In fact, the one woman, she said she's going to talk to her representative about how having the parole hearings was a healing thing for their family, because things that the offender wasn't able to say in court because of getting advice from their attorney, hey, don't say this, you're not going to testify, or anything like that, were able to be said in the parole hearing. And things that they needed for healing and closure were able to be said then, versus in a court proceeding. So the unfortunate part is, unless we get a whole lot of people contacting the legislature and really speaking out about this, they have all the votes and all the drive to just go ahead and rubber stamp it through. And it being an election year is always that we're tough on crime narrative. And so they're really using that, but we need to switch that narrative around them and saying being tough on crime hasn't worked in our state. It's actually creating more problems than help. And we need to really reevaluate our stance on the criminal code and punishment and real rehabilitation in our facilities.
Yeah. Well, if you can keep us updated, um, it, I was asking Bev the other day, in a board meeting, I was like, hey, can we have like an advocacy 101 class so we can understand bills and like how to, so if you would ever be interested in, doing like an hour training session or like 45 minutes, that'd be so cool. I would really appreciate that. Or if you know someone that does, please let me know.
Just let me know when,
Ayla,
and I'll be happy to do it.
oh, okay. Ayla, I've said your name at least 4 different ways. So you tell me how to say your name and I apologize. And then I see that your hand is raised.
You're good. I respond to everything. It's Ayla, so Kayla without the
Okay.
K. I just didn't want to interrupt anyone. That's why my hand was up.
Thank
So
you.
you said 211, and I just want to, I don't know, say that there's been a change in 211, right? So it used to be all 211 people were under the same, I don't want to say employer because it was all United Way, but they were like their own thing under United Way, okay? And that was disbanded. So now every 211 isn't reporting to a central thing. They're all reporting to their local United Way. So if you're seeing a change in how they're operating, that is likely why.
Yes, and so that's where this guide for me specifically would be helpful because for example, just so we are I have one more thing to talk about, but this is really important. Um, I had a gentleman, there was about three this week that called and they had just gotten out and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, cool. Okay, let's walk through the process. What have you done? Where are you? What supports do you have? Just asking that question. He was like, well, 211 just gave me your phone number. So for
Right.
me, it would be great for me to have all of the panhandle um, in some sort of guide to say like, hey, if you need your GED, let's go to here. If you need, whatever that looks like, specific to the panhandle. So the reentry guide that I was talking about wasn't specific to the state, but more so specific to our immediate area. And that's why I thought that that would be helpful for them because those phone calls are coming in and they are here in the Eastern Panhandle. So that's where that importance was there. But I absolutely see the importance also in knowing for those other phone calls that I get for folks that are still incarcerated and are trying to get out, but maybe going to other places. That's not the Eastern Panhandle. That would be super important as well. Just to pivot on that point, I currently have a gentleman that is incarcerated and he is been granted parole twice. The first time he was granted parole, he got denied because he didn't have housing in time. He has now been approved again for parole, but we are having some trouble again finding housing. So if you guys know of like we were talking about earlier, there's no history of substance use or anything like that. So that kind of narrows down the possibilities. But if that's something you guys can keep an eye out for, that would really be awesome. Um, so the last thing, and I want to respect your time, so I'm just going to switch gears real fast. We have been working on the reentry simulator for some time, and I've been talking about it. We had our first meeting, and it was really fruitful. Ashley Lowe came and she rocked it, and I'm just so grateful for her partnership. And Albina is from Shepherd, and so she's been really great. We tossed around ideas. We talked about what who we want to invite, what this looks like, how long it's going to be. Ashley has done this many times, and so we are very grateful to have her. Kenny, I really hope you feel better because we would love your input whenever you are ready to rock and roll again. But just making sure that I'm accountable to you all. That is September. If you guys could help me with the date real fast? September
16.
16, is that right?
Yep.
I think
Okay.
so.
September the 16th is the date that we have selected for the reentry simulator. This, if you guys want to come in and share a little bit, do so. But I think that the number of participants should be about 60 people-ish, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
And then afterwards, that will be like an hour-ish long. And then afterwards, there will be a panel of folks that have lived experience. And by that time, there should be some sort of guide that we would have access to. And so Ashley had made the idea like, hey, let's give a certain population the guide and see if they can navigate it easier by using the guide. So I think that's awesome. All right. Do you guys have anything to add about the meeting that we had?
Just, I know the date was still tentative based on the space availability at Shepherd.
Yes, yes.
And I
And
think we lost Lavina. She left.
yeah,
I saw her
so
leave.
she's gonna go because she's with Shepherd. She'll go ahead um and reserve that space and confirm the time, but that's the tentative date for now. Erin, so grateful that you're here. How can we help?
I just wanted to mention before we hit 11, I talked about it at the January meeting, but next week we have our career and resource fair at ERJ. So just wanted to let folks know, and then I can obviously do a report out of how it went in the March meeting, hopefully.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what your goal is for that, and like what who you're inviting, and
Sure.
maybe if someone is interested in joining?
So we are working with Magistrate Michelle Barnes has been a huge driver of this, and then obviously the facility and staff, and we have obviously it's pretty state heavy because it's a state facility, and I work for the state too. So we have like DMV, workforce, Blue Ridge, adult ed, Jobs and Hope, and a few community resources to we're going to get mostly misdemeanor populations, and then trying to thread the needle of getting AM and PM kitchen staff because they already are working, and we want to make sure that they have resources, as well as seeing about getting a cohort of identified veterans, no matter if they're on the misdemeanor or felony side, to make sure that folks are walking away with accurate and up-to-date information. Biggest one we see is like the second chance driver program, which has not existed for years now, and just stuff like that. So folks are walking away with accurate and actionable information for themselves or to leave behind in the facility to just give them some fresh and updated, accurate information and what is possible for them. And we've had some employers, some say that they can't commit to the whole day and things like that. But like, shout out to Chili's. They printed out a stack of applications and said, you can send these around and we'll be happy to give anybody a chance. So it's been really great to see kind of that response as well. But yeah, like I
I
said, we'll talk
love
about it more
that.
in March of how it went. Thanks.
That's amazing. The last minute, I went to Career One Stop and Workforce yesterday and just sat down with some of the folks there. It was really fruitful. They gave me a list of employers and certifications that they offer. I will be spending some time calling each place and seeing if they are actually second chance employers. And so I will gather all of that together and give it back to you the next time we have a meeting. I do want to remind you guys, I will not be here in March. Unfortunately, I'll be out of the country. My co-chair may be able to run that meeting, or possibly Jonathan. Don't want to throw that on you, but if that's something that you're able to do.
Just send me an email who you got and
Okay.
everything. And
Okay. Awesome meeting. I really appreciate you for being here, Rob. Thank you so much for being vulnerable enough to tell us your story, and thank you for pursuing education for folks that maybe don't have lived experience. And I appreciate everyone else for being here and listening and being open and engaging. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.